Whammy. What are you, Eugene? What are you doing now? Now, what are you doing? Ask the question. Well, a very good friend of mine bought a Glock 30 for his first gun. Not a bad first gun. Better than my first handgun that I bought as an adult. Um, Mine wasn't bad, but it was no Glock of any sort. It was a Taurus 24/7. Before the Pro, before the DS versions came out, the very first um, double action only Taurus 24/7. I bought that in 2003 or two, one of the two, 2002, 2003. So anyway, he brought his gun over and I did some modifications to it. And one thing that I definitely did is my signature trigger. My Glock triggers are beautiful. Um, if you ever want to get your trigger done by me, just post a comment below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, if you're seeing this through Whammy, shoot me a PM and we can go from there. The triggers are very nice. They're different though. A lot of mines have no wall. Let me just say that from the beginning. I don't like walls. I know certain people do like walls. I know one of the more well-known characters or media personality, Coleon Noir, he likes to have a definitive wall, I believe is what he says. I'm different. I don't want a wall. I grew up in that era of you want to let the shot surprise you, right? Excuse me. And although I know that we've kind of graduated from that whole idea, that was kind of a Jeff Cooper idea, right? And now we've kind of moved forward from that going, oh no, we want to know when it's going to break. And I get that concept too. However, there is still truth in the concept of let it surprise you. But there's a much faster way of going about it. You know, when I'm pulling back, I don't want there to be any resistance whatsoever, because for me, resistance means more strength that you got to pull through. Like you hit that wall, that is a resistance. I don't want resistance. I want a straight through pull, fire goes off, especially when I'm moving fast and quick. So my trigger jobs have very nice resets. They're also very audible resets. And when I'm all finished and done, it's the weight will be around 3 pounds even. And you know, the trigger weight, the pull weight does mean something. However, it's not everything. There's a lot more to a trigger pull than just the trigger weight, because I can tell you that there's 1911s that have a 4.5 pound trigger that are nicer than my, my custom Glock 22 that has a 2.5 pound trigger. It's still nicer than mine, because there's so much more than just the pull weight. So anyway, I got my two 10 millimeters here. I got the G40 MOS, and I got the G29, and I'm going to do a trigger check. Let me clear this. I'm going to do a trigger check to see where the trigger's at currently. The reason I brought up my buddy is because I took out the connector out of my G40 and I put it in his G30. And so I've been having my G40 without the trigger that it's had for quite some time. It went back to like well, we'll see. All right, G29 trigger pull test. Let's see what we get. All right, now that looks like about a 3.3 pound trigger. Let's see, can you get that? Maybe. Trying to see if you can get it. Anyway, I think you can kind of see it. You'll see the 1, 2, 3, and you'll see how that's just above the 3, but below the 3.5. So let's call that 3.3 pound trigger. Let's do it again and see what we get. This is the G29. It already has the, my trigger job that I give my Glocks. It looks more like a 3.1 pound trigger pull. Can you see that? I mean, it's right there on the 3, right? So that was the first one, it was 3.3. That one was a 3.1. Let's just call it 3.2 right now, right? All right, so move the G29 over. Glockzilla. Let's see what we have right now. Since I took out the ghost edge connector, right? The trigger is not the same. Not the famous. See, I call it a sleeper trigger. The whammy sleeper trigger. I don't think you would be disappointed with my triggers at all. These triggers are sweet, so. Let's see, what is it right now? That is between 3.5 and 4 pounds. Right. So let's call that 3.8 pounds, right? Let's do it one more time. And that's a 4 pound even trigger. Okay. 4 pounds even. Okay. All right. So let's get this party started. Let's get this thing back from a 3 let's call 3.9. We got a 3.8 and a 4. So let's get this thing back from a 3.9 to the type of trigger that I initially had it to be. And see, as I pull this trigger, I'm going to show you as I pull this trigger. There's no wall. Well, this was a little bit of a wall. That one doesn't have a wall. This one does because, one of the key ingredients to my trigger jobs is not in it anymore. So it does. It's not a definitive wall, but it's a wall. And it's very hesitant right there, So let's see if I can drop this 1/2 pound. 1/2 pound would be doing something, wouldn't it? Now, mind you, you guys know that, well, the G40 MOS and the G34 and the G41 Gen 4 have, at least the MOS versions, have 4.5 pound triggers from the factory. It's not the 5.5 that the other Glocks have from the factory. These are, I guess they try to categorize them as somewhat of a target pistol or competition pistol. So they drop it about a pound on the G40, G41, and the G34 MOS. So we're going to see if we can go from 4.5 pounds down to closer to a 3.2 pounds. See if we can get that without a wall. Okay, so take that apart. Now we don't need to do anything in here. Some of my secrets are already, see. If you think that my trigger jobs are just a 3.5 pound connector, you are sadly mistaken. My trigger jobs are a combination of things. And it's very specific too. It's very specific, down to even the specific aftermarket company that I will deal with for a certain piece. All right, so I'm just gonna move that all to the side. And we gotta get busy. And you know what? Eugene is so silly. I don't even have my piece. Be right back. Push this out. Okay, so now I can pull this up, and we're gonna take the, I believe it's a factory connector that's in here, the factory one from the G30, my buddy's G30. All right, get out of there. Boom. All right, got him out. And is this a factory one, or is this the... This is actually the factory G40 connector, actually. That is the reason why it's a 4.5 pound out the box. So let me put that in here with the other fallen connectors. So now we have how many? We have 3 connectors in here now. All right. And one of my secret weapons here. The 3.5 Ghost Edge. It's my favorite one you've made so far. Edge is my baby. All right. So we have that. We got the 3.5 pound edge connector. So now we're going to install that in here. Very simple process. This isn't a how to swap out a connector video. This is just, it's more of the, you know, trigger video. How to do it, I'll make a separate video. Do I have a video explaining that? I'm already gonna have a video explaining that. All right, and looks good. Looks good. All right. 3 5s in there, put the pin back. Make sure it's flush. Yep, perfectly flush on both sides. And now we just need to, oh, I'm so silly. It's right there. Let's see. Oops. Okay. Boom. I know you guys are like, what the heck is this dude doing? Yeah, if you haven't noticed already, I'm not a professional when it comes to recording myself. But that's another story. All right, so while I have this out, I'm just gonna go through it with the swab of some hoppies. You know, why not? It's already open. While I got you open, let me hoppies you down. Ooh, I might have something here. Maybe I should make pro Second Amendment music. That would be dope. That would be dope. That's something I need to think about. Pro Second Amendment music. And that was the first, what you just heard was the first single of the album of the year called uh, what would the album be called? Think about it for a minute. Matter of fact, leave some comments on what the name of the Second Amendment album by Eugene Griffin via Whammy should be named. Maybe the first album called Don't Tread on Me. Too generic? I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments what's a good name for the first album. Once I open you up, I'm gonna hoppies you. Gonna hoppies you when I open you. When I open you up, Glock, I'm gonna hoppies you. May have something there. Quit laughing at me. Quit shaking your head and thinking to yourself, wow, this guy is a weirdo. You ain't gonna say that when the album come out and go platinum. Okay. All right. And the good thing is it wasn't dirty really anyway. But again, while it's open, why not, definitely if I haven't shot it in a while, it'll still get some dust particles and whatnot in there and, things of that nature. So why not just go through it real quick with a Q-tip or two and then take my zero friction oil and give it some oil again. All right. Doesn't take much, I'll tell you that. All right. A smart man once told me let me say this first. There's a few range masters in Whammy, but if you're on YouTube, maybe you know a range master, I don't know. But as a range master or RSO of a gun range that has gun rentals, if you're old school, if you're from the old school like me, most rentals have the automatic gun cleaner, but when I was doing it, we didn't have that. It was all hands-on. You had to clean them yourself. So I'm cleaning guns. When I say every day, when I say a minimum of 15 guns a day, I mean it. That's how often I was cleaning. So it's also the reason why I got so fast with field stripping a Glock and putting them back together, and once had the fastest time on YouTube, which has since been beaten, but that's why, because I'm doing it all day long. But what I learned through lubricating all the guns, then renting them out, and then having to clean them and lube them again, and you begin to see what works. You begin to see kind of like how much oil is good enough to make it run for quite a while without having any type of problems. What's too much oil to cause too much gunk, what's not enough, right? So I learned that over a 5 year period of cleaning minimum 15 guns a day, every day, right? So, um, yeah, I learned a lot there. So, the biggest thing I learned with oiling is oil where there is metal upon metal friction, really any kind of friction, but specifically metal on metal friction. Wherever that's happening at on the gun, it needs to be oiled, period, point blank. Outside of that, if you don't need to oil some spot that's not being touched, it's not, there's no friction, nothing's really happening there, you don't need to oil that. All you're doing at that point is creating more oil, which just collects um, the lead and whatnot from the round going off and just, shooting the gun, and it just gravitates towards that and creates gunk unnecessarily. So let's put this back together. And let's put some oil in it. Let's get that. All right, then I'll look down here and make sure that the oil has, stretched up and down the slide when I do that, to make sure it, it kind of spreads it out, and it has, it's pretty good too. All right. Okay, guys. We had a 3.9 pound trigger. Let's see where we're at now. That looks like, let's see, can I fix the vision here? I don't know, but that's a 3.1 pound trigger. Maybe you can see it better like that. 3.1 pound trigger. I mean, it's right there. You can basically say it's between, it's more like a 3 pounds, 3.05, because it's not, it's between 3 and 3.1. Let's try it again. And before I do that, let's get the feel of it. Do we have that wall again? Let's see. 0. There's no resistance. There's no wall. There's not even a hesitation. There's nothing there. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's exactly how I like my triggers. It's perfect. Let's see the reset. Okay. Try that again. It's a pretty good reset. Let's try that trigger again. Trigger weight. Same spot. Same spot. That's between 3 and 3.1. I mean, it's right there. Boy, I wish I can get a better sight picture, but yeah, it's right there on 3.1. So I will not give out my recipe for my triggers. It's something special that I know how to do. Everybody, other people know how to do trigger jobs, but what I'm saying is the one that I do, one that I love so much, which I call the sleeper trigger. I don't get an aftermarket shoe. See, I keep the factory shoe, trigger shoe there. And so that's why I call it a sleeper, because when people look at the gun, they don't think that the trigger is aftermarket or is as sweet as it actually is. Usually the sign of a Glock with a great trigger is you'll see a better trigger shoe, right? A little high there. Um, you'll see a different trigger shoe. That's not what I have, right? It's the factory shoe, and it's sweet. It's sweet. Nothing there. No wall. It's perfect. Straight pull, straight back. And that is let's just call it a 3.1 pound trigger. So that's that. Happy about it. Got the trigger back how I want it. So now both the G40 MOS and my G29 both have their sleeper triggers. Love these guns. I had a G20. First of all, yes, as you may have read, I am definitely a 10 millimeter guru. I could say self-proclaimed, but before I claimed it myself, I was considered that. I love 10 millimeter. It is my favorite caliber out of a semi-automatic pistol. It is not my favorite handgun cartridge, though. It's tied with 357 Magnum. And that's the reason why I love 10 millimeters, because there's no other caliber, there's no other anything that is as close to 357 Magnum as the 10 millimeter is. The 10 millimeter is nearly identical to the 357 Magnum's performance. It's almost dead on. The 357 Magnum has a little more potential. There's just more room to put more gunpowder to create more speed, power, etc. But for the most part, the 10 mil and the 357 Magnum are neck and neck. They're dead on. And so those are my two favorite handgun calibers, period. And the Glock 20 serves no purpose for me anymore. The G40 is got the 6-inch barrel so that I can hunt with it. And the MOS configuration. I've modified this G40 MOS, not just the trigger, in other areas too. And the G29 is what I usually carry summertime over the G40 MOS. And I usually run a 15 round mag in here, but sometimes I throw the 12 round mag in there, here and there when it gets hot. And the G20, there was nothing there. Like, the G29 does everything I need the G20 to do in one way, in concealed carry. And the G40 MOS did what I needed the G20 to do, which is hunt. So I had no reason for the G20 anymore. I did away with it. And I have two of the best 10 millimeter handguns you can really buy, honestly. As far as capacity and reliability, being able to take the punishment of a 10 millimeter round, especially a hot one, because I shoot hot stuff. Even my ball ammo is hot. Yeah, they handle business. So that's it. Trigger is sweet. Sleeper trigger. Again, if you are interested in having your Glock trigger modified by me, comment or shoot me a PM, depending on how you're watching this.